Stories and the pictures are still getting out. I mean, that is the fact.
They're trickling out. I
Yeah.
mean, even if you cut off the internet, embassies, for example, have maybe their own dedicated circuits or leased lines or VSATs that connect them to the wider internet through satellites. There could be journalists with Inmarsat satellite phones. So there are ways to get information out even if you cut off the internet.
Let's broaden our discussion beyond what's happening in Burma and talk about which governments in the world you believe have been the most successful at controlling the internet, presumably for nefarious purposes, within their boundaries. Which ones?
Well, I mean, the way we look at it, most successful is a strange way to characterize it, because
the most egregious,
giving them a grade of A for doing something terrible.
Okay.
But the most pervasive filters of internet content, we categorize about 6 countries in that area: China, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Uzbekistan, Tunisia. These are countries that block access to content in just about every category that we test in across the board. And by testing, I mean that we actually are within the country running software tools that check for accessibility to literally thousands of websites and keywords and services. So we understand exactly what's being blocked, even if the countries aren't open about it. Unfortunately, there are, 26 countries in total that block at least some content. So this is a growing problem in scope, scale, and sophistication.
So it's more than just kind of political discourse that they're blocking?
Absolutely. There are economic reasons for blocking access to information. A lot of countries block access to Skype, voice over internet telephone services, for economic reasons, to protect national monopolies. There's gay and lesbian information that's blocked, religious conversion sites that are blocked. So political information is perhaps the most egregious, but there is a wide range of information that's being blocked to citizens.
Well, we know from President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad there is no gay community in Iran.
That's what he says, and yet they're blocking access to gay and lesbian information. I'm not sure why they'd be doing that. Yeah.
What's Siphon?
Siphon is a software that we developed at the Citizen Lab to help people get around internet censorship. Naturally, studying content filtering as we do, you gain a high level of expertise as to not only how it works, but how to get around it. So we built a little tool that works by having someone in an uncensored country download and install Siphon on their home computers, and then give the connection information privately to a few friends or family members or colleagues that live in one of these 26 countries. Instead of connecting to banned content directly, they connect to the Siphon-enabled computers, which then fetch the information for them and send it back. So the entire system is distributed. There's no central website or service that you connect to, so it's very hard for governments to discover and block Siphon nodes.
P-S-I-P-H-O-N.
Right.
Siphon.
Siphon.
Where does that come from?
I get asked that all the time, and there really is no interesting story behind it other than I thought it sounded cool. The coding originally was in a computer programming language called Python, and we were trying to come up with a name. I was thinking something, Philip K. Dick or X-Files. So Siphon with a P, silent P.
Siphon with a silent P.
It works, yeah.
What, we kind of quipped a moment ago about Ahmadinejad saying there's no gay and lesbian community in Iran, and of course ever since then the mainstream media, among many others, have been publishing all sorts of reports saying, excuse me, yes there is. What's that government doing to kind of block access to that community or from that community?
Well, Iran is an interesting case. Unlike China, it doesn't have a uniform system of national filtering. In China, when you try to access banned content, regardless of the ISP or the gateway through which your information passes, there is a uniform system of filtering in place. In Iran, there is a great deal of variation among internet service providers. So Iranian authorities pass down recommendations, but it's a complex political environment in Iran to such an extent that internet service providers may not implement the policies in a uniform way. Also in Iran, the internet service providers use Western commercial filtering technologies. So there's a big debate about this. In some cases, US filtering technologies are used in Iran. And when we released information about this from our research, it was quite a big controversy in the United States because this would be a violation of US export laws.
Well, I was going to say, what's wrong with this picture? How is this being allowed to happen?
And yet it does. The companies that develop this software deny that they sell it to Iran. They say that Iran received a cracked copy. Well, anyone who knows how these filtering software systems work in order for them to function, they have to connect back to central servers to update their lists of blocked sites. So Iran couldn't be operating the software effectively if it weren't connecting back to the companies. So there's something dubious going on there, that's for sure. But Iran blocks access to political opposition, to gay and lesbian sites, religious conversion sites, you know, on and on and on. It is definitely a pervasive filter of internet content.
Have you got Siphon in Burma?
Well, you know, the way it works is that we've set up Siphon for people outside of these filtered countries to download and give connection information. So once it's downloaded and deployed, we have no idea who's actually using the system. It's part of the resiliency of the system. You could go home tonight, download Siphon on your computer and give connection to a dozen Iranians that you know and trust personally, and I would have no idea whether it's being deployed. Now that said, my researchers use it when the internet is up. The internet's been shut off, unfortunately. And also I've heard a lot from Burmese human rights activists, from Vietnamese human rights activists, Iranians, Chinese, and so on. It's being used all over the world.
Anybody cracked it yet?
No one's cracked it yet. You know, it's open source, and it's open source for a reason, so that the more eyeballs on the code, the more secure the technology will be, and there's no fear of backdoors or bugs in it or whatever. We've had more than 100,000 downloads since it was first launched last year, and we're looking at a new version of it this fall that promises to be even more effective. We're going to offer a free service worldwide to people so they don't have to know friends and family members worldwide.
I have never on this program asked anybody to take their clothes off yet, and I'm not going to ask you to do that,
Steve.
but I'm going to get close. I'd like you to show our viewers your shirt.
Okay.
So if you wouldn't mind, open your jacket and just tell us what's the story.
Well, this is, of course, doing the research that we do on China. You work a lot with human rights organizations, and Students for Free Tibet, which is a New York-based human rights organization campaigning for Tibetan human rights, sent me some swag. They sent me their T-shirt that they made up, and this is a dissident who's, of course, it's about Free Tibet, and they sent me a bracelet here that was made by a Tibetan nun. So,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Ron Deibert, good of you to join us at TVO today.
Thank you for
Thanks for
having
the
me.
visit.
Good to see you again.